Hello, my loves. Welcome to the Fuck Trauma podcast. Today is a solo episode with me, and it's actually, I can hear myself speaking. I feel like I sound quite nasally, so I'm so sorry if you can hear that. I have a bit of a cold in London. It seems to be the theme right now. It's cold, and I seem to be having colds all the time at the moment. Um, so I'm sorry. And if you're watching on video, then you might see me sip my tea sometimes just so that I am able to continue and I can breathe. So I apologize for the extra little bit of nasalness if you can hear that. I feel like I definitely can. But I promise today's episode is worth it and it is a good one, and I'm super excited about it. So today's episode is especially for women, but if you don't identify as a woman, I still invite you to listen because there is so much value in this conversation. And today we are going to be talking about hyperindependence, why you overfunction in relationships. Don't worry, I'll explain exactly what that is. Why it's keeping love from flowing to you, and how to shift into receiving. And whether you're single and trying to attract love, or you're in a relationship already, you will absolutely benefit from this episode. So stick around, it's a good one. Just taking a little sip before we head on in. So, if you've ever been the one in relationships who overfunctions, overgives, and struggles to receive, this episode is for you. And I'm going to say that's pretty much most of my community. So I think you're going to get something from this. So many high achievers, overachievers, especially those who have anxious attachment style, successful people, become hyper independent as a trauma response. You know, you're the strong one, the one everyone goes to for advice. You don't ask for help. You've got it. You can take care of it all by yourself. No one does it better than you. You feel bad asking for help, yet you are resentful that no one is ever there for you the way you are for them when you need them. And you don't let people in fully, and you're always doing in relationships, afraid to lean back and let love come to you. And it makes sense. It's likely that in childhood, this is so common with anxious attachment, but it's likely that in childhood you learned to be the pleaser, the people pleaser, the fixer, the responsible one, maybe even the good gal or good guy. So this has always been your role. Maybe you're the sensible one, I was all of these things. As someone who's spent my whole life in this role, literally, I know how exhausting it is, really. It is, be honest. There's no judgment here. Deep down, I know that you want to be supported and taken care of for once. To be carried, to take that weight off your damn shoulders that you've been carrying around forever, to trust that love flows towards you effortlessly and that you don't have to work hard. But I also know that you don't know how to do that. I definitely didn't, because you've been in a trauma response state of overdoing and overgiving for so long. It is literally your default, and it's all you've known. It's all you expect. It's all you think you deserve. And this shift was incredibly hard for me to make. It really was. I had spent my whole life feeling unsafe in love and unsafe to receive. But I knew that secure, healthy relationships require balance, because they do. And as a woman, you deserve to be in your feminine energy, receiving love effortlessly, not chasing after it or exhausting yourself trying to make love work. And I'm sure that everyone listening knows exactly what I mean by that. I've been there. And it can look like, being the one that always texts first or makes plans or nags them to make plans or nags them to text you, or feeling responsible for your partner's emotions. If they're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. Your whole mood is determined by their mood. Over explaining your feelings, hoping they'll understand, being the one that to fix things always and over apologize in conflict. You're the first person to do it, even if you're not necessarily in the wrong, but you'll just do anything to get it over with. You're not allowing yourself to receive support because it feels selfish, and your needs do not matter. Their needs matter, and you always make sure their needs are prioritized, but your needs, no, it's selfish. And that's because the core fear underneath overfunctioning is, if I don't do it, I won't be loved. And that is why it's so similar to people pleasing. So you people please to be liked and loved by others. And it's the same with overfunctioning. And so many anxious attachment traits are rooted in this self-concept. They're deep subconscious beliefs you hold about love is what is shaping this for you. I am not worthy is a belief. I am not I'm not enough. People leave me. Love isn't safe. I have to work hard for love. I'm not wanted. I'm not chosen. The list is endless. And these are deep-rooted subconscious beliefs that are driving you and driving your actions. And I haven't spoken about self-concept as much on this podcast before, but you're going to be hearing me talk about it a lot more because this is the thing that changes anything. Everything, sorry. It changes everything. Literally, it's a game changer. And certainly on my YouTube channel, I am going to be speaking a lot more about this and how to shift it. So make sure you subscribe. It will make a lot more sense. And I feel so strongly about this that when I first launched my signature program, Anxious to Secure in Love, it only had 10 modules. And people got insane results about it. If you've ever listened to anyone be interviewed on this podcast, they've gone through Anxious to Secure in Love when it was 10 modules, and I'm sure you heard their insane results. But now it's 16 modules long. That's how strongly I feel about self-concept, because I added an entire section on self-concept to shift it. And these modules are actually called the game-changing modules because that is exactly what they do. They change the game, they transform lives. And I'm going to give you an example of this because self-concept is not spoken about too often, and I get that, and I want to, make sure you understand how important it is because honestly, it really is. So for instance, one of my clients, Andrea, was a high achiever in a very male-dominated industry. Her masculine energy served her in her career. She did so well in that industry, but she was in her masculine. And in her relationships, she held the belief that she still had to work hard for love because she had an anxious attachment style. And, in her career, she had to work hard, of course, to be successful in it, in a masculine energy. And she still had that when it came to relationships. However, relationships do not work that way. So naturally, she kept attracting emotionally unavailable men who she had to work hard for and wouldn't commit to her. She had to chase after them. It was like, a reward system. The same way she was chasing promotion in her career is the same way she was chasing men that were unavailable and unattainable. And it might have worked in her career because that's how it works, but it wasn't working in her relationships, and it was all becoming from her self-concept, what she believed she was worthy of and deserving of in love, and who she saw herself as. So, she really wanted to be pursued. She actually wanted a gentleman, but she didn't believe she was worthy of it deep down. So she chased instead people that were not chasing her back. She was chasing them. And she wanted a committed relationship. She felt like she was ready. She had all other areas of her life down, and she really wanted to share it with someone. But she didn't believe she was worthy of it deep down. She didn't believe that she was worthy of love and commitment deep down. So she settled for situationships. So she wanted a committed, loving relationship with a man that adored her and cherished her and valued her. But because she didn't adore herself, cherish herself, or value herself because of her self-concept and her self-worth, she actually settled for situationships where it was literally breadcrumbs, and she was the one in pursuit of them, chasing after them, which I know is so common in this community, and of course I've been there. So what did we do to change this? We worked on shifting her self-concept and rewiring her beliefs and her story. So instead of I have to work hard for love, and honestly, I invite you to really look at yourself as to whether you're holding this belief. And I'm actually going to say that probably every anxious attachment style person that I've ever come across holds this belief, and it's evident in the things you're doing. So maybe just have a look to see. But I have to work. We changed. I have to work hard for love. To I am effortlessly pursued. I am worthy of being pursued. I'm worthy of being supported. I'm worthy of being taken care of. I'm worthy of romance. All of those things. I'm worthy of it. When you shift it to that, you act from that place. You become that person, and then you can receive that. And then the belief that she had was, I'm not chosen. I'm not chosen. I'm not chosen for commitment. I'm not worthy of it. So we changed it to, of course I'm chosen. Of course I'm worthy of being chosen. Of course I'm worthy of commitment. And then the other belief was, love is hard for me. It's hard for me. Everybody else might get it, but love is hard for me. So we changed it to, love flows to me easily and effortlessly. And now, in such a short amount of time, she is now in a committed relationship with a man that she knows she will marry. And when she messaged me to tell me that, she said he pursued her from the beginning. And that when she raised her standards when we worked together, she never settled again. She didn't settle for situationships. She didn't settle for anything less than she deserved. And that was the power that she had once she realized her own self-worth and value. And that wasn't luck. It wasn't luck. She wasn't getting any of those people before. It was the self-concept work that changed it. And she knows that. She acknowledges it's the work on her anxious attachment style keeping you stuck. So for yourselves, I want to ask you some questions to reflect on. Firstly, what are the ways that you are over-functioning in your relationships, and with whom? And right there, an answer came to mind. Maybe a few answers. Listen to that. That's that little voice trying to guide you. Maybe journal on this and just let it all come up. And then, what am I afraid will happen if I stop over-functioning? If I stop nagging? If I stop begging for this? If I stop overgiving? If I stop pleasing? If I stop not feeling like I have to be the one that is so reliable and I rely on anyone else? If I just stopped, what am I afraid will happen if I stop over-functioning? And be honest with yourself. And then, do I feel guilty when someone does something for me? And why? Why do you feel guilty? Why do you feel guilty well, perhaps you have accepted some support. Maybe someone in your life has insisted that they're going to help you, and it's just not, you wouldn't normally ask, you don't normally ask, but they insisted they're going to help you. But you feel guilty the whole time, and you feel like, oh, I have to do this, this, and this to thank them. Why? Why do you feel guilty? Why do you feel that you can do all of these things for someone and never ask for anything in return? And if they do something for you, you must give back, give back, just to what? What is it? What is it? Why do you feel that? Why do you not believe that you're worthy of support and being taken care of, and that people want to support you? People want to be there for you. What is it? Why do you need to control that? And then lastly, when was the last time I let someone take the lead? And how did that feel? Whether it's in relationships or friendships or whatever it is, how did it feel? Did it feel difficult? Did you always like to be in control? I always liked to be in control. Oh my God, I did. I didn't like surprises. I didn't like it. It used to put my nervous system on low. I had to be in control. And then it makes it hard for you to allow the space for people to do things for you that you so desperately want. In fact, you desperately will hear yourself saying, they don't do this for me, they don't do that for me, but you're not receiving it. You're not allowing the space. So many of you want to be pursued, cherished, and adored, but when a man actually shows up for you, you resist it, you push it away, you don't hold that space for it, and you don't, because you don't truly believe you deserve it. And that is the problem. It's that receiving mode. And believe me, I struggled with this, so I get how difficult it is. It's something you've been doing for a really long time, but at the same time, you now need to make the conscious effort to change it, because it's gonna impact the relationships that you have. It's gonna impact the people that you attract, and the behavior, the treatment that you accept in your relationships. If people are not showing up for you, you only have yourself to blame. And I say that with so much love, as somebody that has had horrific relationships where they didn't show up for me in the way that I wanted, but I can totally see that I didn't believe I was worthy and deserving of anything else, and I didn't allow that. I was so anxious, I was so controlling everything. I didn't believe that I deserved better, and I can totally own that completely now. So I say it with complete love, that you have to relax and allow yourself to receive this. That is the only way that you can do it, and get rid of those stories. If someone was texting you good morning beautiful every single day without you doing anything at all, how does that feel for you? How does that feel for you? If you didn't have to be on edge all the time, whether it was just so consistent, how does it feel? Because a lot of people think they want these things, but actually your nervous system is wired for hard. So actually, really, you don't really want these things. These things become boring. These are the people that have no spark. It's too easy for you. You actually want, and what you're used to, is the person that says good morning beautiful for the first 3 weeks, and then suddenly one day there's no good morning message, and then your nervous system is wired, anxious as hell. But then once you manage to work them back, once you manage to get them back, then it's back to the good morning beautiful again for a few more days or a few more weeks, and then oh my God, it's gone again, and it's not consistent again. But this keeps your nervous system wired, like you're thinking this is love, and it's not love. And believe me, I've done it. It's not love. It's that your nervous system is in a trauma response, and because you've learned, your inner child has learned that you've equated love to be inconsistent and keeps you on your toes. You have to work hard for it. It's something you have to chase, and is not always consistent. That's why it's happening. And so the person that actually comes along and just does that every day consistently, shows up for you consistently, actually is the person that you then start to take for granted, perhaps, or you start to think, oh, they're not really for me. There's no spark, for instance. They're too nice. They're too sure of me, and I'm not so sure of them anymore. I changed my mind, because it is not. It's because you're not used to that thing, that, having that be so safe, be so, your nervous system not being wired and up and down and up and down and anxious. Actually, it just being really neutral feels really weird for you, and definitely did for me too. What about if a man planned a date for you and took the lead and was fully available, fully emotionally available for you? They were certain of you. They were like, I just want you, and their actions aligned and everything. Do you lean in, or do you push them away? Do you start to question, why me? Why are they so certain of me? Why me? There's no spark now. Oh no, I'm not sure. I don't think they're the right person for me now. No, there's no chemistry. Even though these things come with time. And if your partner started, if you're in a relationship, or, if you were in a relationship, if your partner started doing all these things for you that you've been asking for, begging for even, buying you flowers, planning dates, making you a priority, taking you on that holiday you've wanted, or helping around the house, whatever it is, how does that feel? Do you trust it, or does it feel uncomfortable? Or are you used to having to work hard for something? Are you used to having to complain about something and, have something that's a problem that keeps love at bay, keeps the love and the treatment that you really want at bay? And this is where you're sabotaging. And believe me, I've done it. It's not that there's no spark, it's that your nervous system is literally wired to prove your worth for love. So when love is given easily and certainly, it feels unfamiliar to you. And that is at the point where you sabotage. And it's because you have these beliefs. So the chances are you feel resistance, when things are going well even. This is why I always say, even people that, a lot of people think that their anxious attachment style only shows up when there's an avoidant, right? They're in a relationship with an avoidant. It's absolutely false. It's completely false. An avoidant might trigger some of these triggers in you, and you might feel it more in an avoidant relationship. But I promise you, if you have an anxious attachment style, if you go into a relationship and you still haven't worked on your anxious attachment style and things are really good, you will start to sabotage from the place of, wow, this is too good to be true. I am not worthy of this love. I'm not worthy of someone being so available and certain about me. And yes, it's subconscious. It's not conscious. So it might show up as like, no, I'm not sure about them. I'm not sure about this. No, I'm not sure about that. No, and your mind will start to think of reasons why this person is not the right person for you, and you will start to push it away. That is your anxious attachment style too. Your anxious attachment style shows up in so many different ways that you will never ever imagine, which is why I try and educate you on it. The avoidant one is just an obvious trigger, but I promise you it's already there, and it's already sabotaging your relationships. And people think that, their dream person comes along and treats them exactly how they deserve, that they're ready for it. But I promise you, if your self-concept is not in alignment with believing you are worthy and deserving of this, you will start to sabotage it subconsciously. Okay, so let me just take a sip, because that was a bit of talking. So one thing that I know is popular is, the black cat philosophy, the golden retriever philosophy. And I just want to share how this fits in. When I was actually attached, I didn't really know I had an anxious attachment style when this was happening. But I knew, if we're looking at the black cat thing, I could be the black cat at the start. I was completely confident and secure, completely unbothered, fine, hyper independent. So, I was busy with my work, my life, blah, 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 blah. And then as soon as I got attached, that's it. I flipped. Nothing else became, that whole life that I had, and I'm sure you probably experienced this, where you know, you had this life before, you were totally hyper independent, you were fine, everything was fine. But then suddenly when you get attached, it's like suddenly that becomes your whole focus, and that's your importance, and that's your anxious attachment style. You know, I'd flip, and then I'd read books on, you know, strategies of how to make them pursue me more, how to make them chase me more, how to make them romance me more, how to make them text me more, all of those bloody books and things like this, because I didn't know I had an anxious attachment style. I didn't know that it was a trauma response, right? This is why I do what I do now, because it's very different, you know, it's very deep rooted. So I tried to act secure, I tried to act like the black cat, but it never lasted. It never lasted. I couldn't pretend I was unavailable, because I was deeply available, just waiting, desperately anxious, hoping and praying that they asked to see me. So how could I suddenly, you know, no, I'm just gonna, you know, no, I wanted to see them because I needed to see them, because I was addicted to seeing them, because it soothed my anxiety, and that level of like just whatever being wanted just allowed me to feel worthy and enough and chosen in that moment. But then the second I was away from them again, I was desperately craving it. And this is why I say anxious attachment is an addiction. That was all it was. I was chasing that validation. I wasn't even chasing the person, I was chasing the validation. You're chasing the validation. So all these things I couldn't really hold on to. You've probably tried them. You've probably tried it, you know. I'll take this amount of time to text back, and then they'll be thinking about where I've been. Oh my God, just quit it now. Stop, guys, because a secure person doesn't do that. Now, as a secure person, I promise you, I don't care. I can respond within seconds, and I don't care what it looks like. And then other times, I'll be so busy, or I might have the capacity to respond to someone, but I'm just busy doing something within myself, or, you know, maybe I'm relaxing, maybe I just don't want to be on my phone, maybe I don't want to respond to someone, I don't want to do something, not out of anything to do with them, it's just putting me first and what I need in that moment, and I might take hours to respond, I might take a day to respond, I don't care. The fact is when you're secure, you're not thinking about those things, you're just, you know, focused on what's best for you, and trusting that your relationships are secure, and that a text is not your self-worth, and it's not your relationship. A text is not your relationship either, so none of those things really matter. But when you're trying to play the games of the black cat of take this amount of time to respond, all it does is make you more anxious. And what it does is it creates resistance. It creates resistance energetically in the relationship, you know, because then you've stepped into this person of like, I must do this to make them pursue me. So you're assuming they're not going to pursue you, assuming they're not interested in responding to you, that you have to play games because you're not enough as you are, you're not worthy, you're not chosen. You're already making those assumptions about you based on your beliefs that are already there, and then you're creating that resistance, you know. Oh well, I'll take this amount of time to respond, and you know, and then you're sitting there waiting by your phone, and they take that amount of time to respond, and then you feel rejected. You've gone and rejected yourself. Because it didn't have the effect. But you know, sometimes you might do it and they might respond straight away, and it makes you feel that relief in yourself. Yes, it worked. They want me. They were sitting there waiting. They're desperate to hear from me. Look at the validation you're looking for. Is that what you want to build a relationship of love on? That you need how quick they respond, a text to validate you. And this is why it's so not going to work for you, because one day they might text back straight away, and the next day you might do the exact same game, and they might respond bloody hours later. And then what does it do? It makes you feel rejected. It makes you feel not worthy. It makes you feel like shit. You cannot allow your actions and your worth and all of these things to be determined by something external to you. You don't want to do that. You want to feel secure in yourself so that none of these things matter. I honestly don't give a damn if someone takes hours to respond to me. It does not mean anything to me. Nothing. When I was anxiously attached, meant everything to me. I saw it as a rejection. Oh my God, I'm not their priority. They don't care. They don't love me. They don't do this. It was a story I was writing because of my self-concept and my beliefs that I already had from childhood of how I'm not a priority. I'm not chosen. I'm not worthy. I'm not enough. I'm not any of these things. I was just seeing that from that perspective, but it doesn't mean anything. Just because I take a few hours to respond to someone sometimes, it doesn't mean I don't love them. It doesn't mean I don't want them. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that I am doing something for myself, and that's okay. That is okay. So check what you're doing for validation, because this is harming your relationships. And I'm speaking from someone that did it all, so I get it. But this is why I also preach about it, because I see it very differently now. So, and the truth is like, when you truly shift your self-concept, you don't have to act like a black cat. You don't have to try to be one, because it's who you are. It becomes who you are. Not a black cat, but somebody that is rooted in their self-worth and value and secure in themselves. That's the only difference with the black cat. I think, you know, a lot of like TikTok and things like that, they've made it into like you should play a game to become the black cat. I don't advocate for games at all, as you probably hear. But I do advocate for you knowing, believing, and embodying how worthy and amazing you already are, and treating yourself with the love that you deserve first. I do advocate for that, because that changes your entire relationships. And I'm speaking so firsthand about this. It changes everything for you. The love that you are seeking so desperately in everyone else is the love that you have to give to yourself. I'm sorry, it does. You have to prioritize yourself first. They're not prioritizing you because you're not prioritizing you. They don't see your value because you don't see your value. It's that bloody simple. They're not committing to you because you're not even believing that you're worthy of being committed to. You're treating yourself like you're not even worthy of being committed to. And I say this with so much love, but strongly, because I want you to understand that. It's a mirror. They have to treat you how you're treating you. So the quickest thing you can do is change that for yourself, and your whole relationships will shift. You won't have to pretend to be the black cat. You won't have to watch these TikTok videos about these things. You'll naturally just be grounded in your worth. And then it's easy for you to be in your feminine. It's easy for you to receive. You are just secure in yourself. You don't have to put up a game of resistance. You don't have to wait X amount of times to respond. You don't have to try to play hard to get to keep them interested. You don't have to fear being nice to them because they won't like you, they'll lose interest. You don't have to do any of those things. You just simply do what feels right for you, and love flows to you effortlessly, because you are doing it from a place of love yourself, not fear and ego, which is what these games are, which is what all of it is. Not being able to receive, not being able to get support and be taken care of. It's coming from fear and ego. It's not helping you. It needs to drop. If you want to attract love, if you want to have loving relationships, you have to come from a place of love. And that love has to start with your love for you first. It has to. It has to look, the way that you treat yourself, the way that you see yourself, your self-concept has to shift for your relationships to shift. And you deserve that. So, I'm going to give you a little mini challenge here of how to start receiving. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to practice pausing. Before initiating, before texting them and saying, "You used to do this for me and now you don't do that. Where's my good morning message? Why are you taking me out? Why are you doing this?" And I know I'm joking there, but trust me, I have been that person. So I promise you there is no judgment. It's just love. But before you go and do that, or before you initiate doing everything for everyone, just see if the other person steps up. Give them space. Give them the space to. Give them the space. And I know somebody here is saying, "Yeah, but I did that once and I left it a day and they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything at all." And I would have been me too. But this might take a minute because you've been in chaser energy for so bloody long, your entire life. So you need to shift into a relaxing, receiving energy and shift your belief of your worth and your value and all of these things. So it might take a minute for things to shift. So give them the space. Trust that they will, because you deserve it, and just relax, and that they want to support you. They want to do these things for you. They do. A lot of the time, I'm going to be really frank with you, a lot of the time, if you've ever been into relationships, right, in the beginning, the man will, be doing all these things for you. They'll send you the good morning message. They'll do these things. Should I tell you why it changes? Because you change. You change. Your whole energy changes, and you step into expecting chaser mode. And so they sit back and they don't do these things. You're not able to receive so much anymore because you've shifted, because your anxious attachment style has kicked in, and then suddenly you have to work hard and you're in chaser mode. So then they stop doing the things they used to do. They stop taking you out. They stop buying you flowers if they ever did. They stop sending you a good morning message. They stop because you shifted. So you have to shift back into that energy of trusting that they will and they want to, and that you deserve it, and just relax and allow them the space to do it. Just give it a try. And then another thing you're going to do is let someone give to you, whether it's a compliment. This doesn't have to be in romantic relationships. I just want you to get really good at receiving. Whether it's a compliment, what do you do? When someone gives you a compliment, do you feel like you have to give them 5 in return? This is me. But I'm like a compliment party to be around. Like, I've always been a very words of affirmation person, but it's always genuine, and that's fine. But I don't feel like I have to do it. I genuinely do. Like, I'll be the first to compliment anyone. But how do you receive a compliment? I used to be like I remember my ex many years ago. It was so funny when I think about it now. If somebody ever said to me, like, I had a sweater on or something, a sweater, and somebody said to me, "Oh my God, I like your sweater." I used to say, "Thank you, it's from this place," right? And it's like, he used to say to me, "Why do you do that? Why don't you just say thank you? Why do you have to tell them where it's from, or tell them how cheap it was, or how, why?" I would do that. "Oh, it's from this place, it's so cheap," like just minimizing the compliment. Why did I need to do that? And it's because I was so uncomfortable with compliments, and that's what I'd seen, my mom do my whole life. So obviously we pick up these things, but I was uncomfortable with it. And so, yeah, thankfully he pointed this out for me, and I started to be like, I just say thank you now. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Practice that. These are little things that you can do day to day. Or like, when someone does a favor for you, practice that. And you don't have to say thank you 5 million times in response, and you don't have to send them anything. You don't have to do a favor in return. You don't have to do any of these things. You just, get to receive. Practice it, and it's going to be uncomfortable at first, and that's okay. Or like an act of love, or just practice receiving without guilt. Just be like, "Yeah, I deserve this. Thank you so much. I deserve this. Thank you, thank you, thank you." It's going to feel so much better. At first it will be uncomfortable, but it's worth it. And then reframe receiving as a gift. Allowing people to show up for you strengthens your relationship. It is not a weakness. It's not a weakness. It's not. It's not. It's okay to be vulnerable, because this is the fear of vulnerability, to be able to rely on someone. And I know this is hard, especially if, as a child, maybe you were always disappointed by someone and you couldn't rely. This was definitely me. And so I kind of just didn't want to give anyone the opportunity to disappoint me, because I didn't want to feel that disappointment. But now you're not that person, and that's just coming from your inner child, which is why it's so important to work on healing your inner child, so that she or he is not ruling your actions as an adult, because you're an adult now, okay? Someone disappoints you, If someone can't do a favor, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. And so it's only because it's that wounded part of you that is feeling that rejection, feeling that disappointment, that it hurts so much. But this is where you need to shift out of that. You need to let that go, because that's the old story, and you deserve so much more, and your relationships rely on it. And, people want to do things for you. And if we're talking about men and women, men want to do things for you. There's a saying that men fall in love with what they do for you, not what you do for them. And I think that's true to an extent. So a relationship is give and take. They want to feel like they're invested, and not you just being the one that's investing. that's when your value is cheap. That's when you do get taken for granted. No, they have to be invested in you too, and that's beautiful. It's not a weakness. And if you are really feeling brave, really feeling brave, and I challenge you to this, and I want you to send me a DM or send me an email and let me know if you did any of this and how it went for you. But extra brownie points, guys, I'll be so proud of you. I want you to ask someone to do something for you. I don't care if it's your partner, a person, or your friend. And I don't care how uncomfortable it is. I just want you to ask them and trust that they want to. And if they can't, that's fine. That's fine. Just sit with it. Like, it's okay if somebody can't. The more you do these things, the less you'll fear the rejection, the less you'll fear the disappointment. It's fine. You don't need anything. You're fine. It's just that fear that's driving you. So just get used to asking them. It can be something so small, and just like receive it. If they can do it for you, great. If they can't do it for you, it's not a big deal. But just get used to asking it and trusting that of course they would if they could. So I want to hear how you get on with your challenge, and I hope that you have found this episode useful. And there's some nuggets. So, overfunctioning is a survival strategy, but it's not love. Okay? Overgiving, I know you think you're a really caring person and you're really nice. I used to think that too. But it's not. It's coming from fear. It's coming from fear and control, because it's a survival strategy, and I get it. I really, really get it. But it's not love. Love is balanced, and you're able to just relax and be safe, and it's allowed to be easy, and you deserve it just for being. You're worthy of it just for being. You are enough just as you are right now. That is love. It doesn't have expectations. It doesn't have games. It doesn't have any of those things. It just is free-flowing. And when you remove the resistance, the fear, the ego that is shaping these things, and just allow yourself to receive, it's going to feel so much better. Receiving isn't weakness. You deserve it. But you have to allow it. You have to allow it. Not anyone else. Nobody else can do it for you. Nobody else can do it for you. Your partner cannot do it for you. They cannot do it for you. You have to be in a receiving mode. And one of my favorite mantras that I had to get used to, it was very uncomfortable. One of my favorite mantras was is the more I relax, the more I receive. And that felt so foreign to me. But I've had to learn to adopt it, and I love it now. So do yourself a favor and shift into that energy, that feminine energy. When you shift into receiving, you attract deeper, more mutual connections. And trust me when I say it feels so much better. And it might feel a bit uncomfortable at first, but it's worth pushing through and changing this. And inside Anxious to Secure in Love, I help you shift out of over-functioning and upgrade your self-concept so that love can flow to you effortlessly and you happily receive it without self-sabotaging. If you're interested in that, I will leave the link below. And if this episode resonated with you, please DM me on Instagram with your biggest takeaway, because I always love hearing your feedback. So that is all, my loves. I hope that it has been useful, and I will see you again in the next episode.